My 14-year-old daughter refused to speak to me for days. Slammed doors, skipped dinners, cried behind her phone. I thought it was hormones, until she yelled, "You ruined everything," and threw her tablet at me. The screen was cracked but still lit, on a group chat with her friends, where my husband had been messaging her best friend. I didn't know whether to scream or vomit. Instead, I took screenshots. Sent them to every parent in the group. The school called. He got reported. My daughter hugged me 2 weeks later and said, "Thank you for believing me. Even when I didn't believe in you. I've been holding this in for a while. It's taken everything in me not to fall apart. I'm still numb some days. But I need to write it out. Because what happened to my daughter, what my husband did, it tore our lives in half." We live in Springfield, Missouri. Middle of the road kind of town. People nod at each other in grocery stores, talk about the weather, pretend things are fine even when they're not. I work at a dental clinic, been there for years. My husband, no, ex-husband now, he was an electrician. Local jobs, side gigs for friends, stuff like that. We've been together 17 years, married for 14. We had a house, 2 cars, a little routine. I thought we were fine. Our daughter Kaylee just turned 14 in December. She's smart, funny, stubborn like her dad, but with a softness I always tried to protect. She's been best friends with a girl named Riley since 2nd grade. They've had sleepovers, pool days, movie nights, you name it. Riley's like a second daughter to me. Was. It started small. One morning in January, Kaylee didn't say good morning. She walked right past me in the kitchen, grabbed her backpack, and left for school. I thought maybe she was just tired. I let it go. But then she skipped dinner that night. Said she ate at school. The next night she didn't even bother making an excuse. Just went to her room and shut the door. No good night. No nothing. By the 3rd day, she was slamming her door. I could hear her crying sometimes, but when I asked if she was okay, she'd yell at me to leave her alone. Her eyes were puffy, her voice hoarse. I asked if someone at school was bullying her. She said no. Asked if she fought with Riley. Another no. I started checking her lunch balance through the school app. She wasn't eating. No charges for a whole week. I asked her why. She just shrugged and said she wasn't hungry. I made her favorite dinner that Friday, mac and cheese with bacon bits, garlic bread, lemonade. She came downstairs, looked at it, and walked back up without a word. That night, I cried into the dishwater. I felt like I was losing her. Like something was slipping between my fingers and I couldn't grab it fast enough. The next Tuesday, it exploded. I had just gotten home from work. I heard her shouting from upstairs. It wasn't words at first, just loud sobs. Then the stomp of her feet across the hallway. I went up to check, but the second I opened her bedroom door, she turned on me like a storm. "You ruined everything," she screamed. "I hate you." And then she picked up her tablet and threw it at me. It hit the door frame and cracked. The screen shattered in the corner, but it was still lit. She ran to the bathroom and locked the door. I stood there, stunned. I picked up the tablet. I wasn't trying to invade her privacy, I just didn't know what else to do. It was open on a group chat. I saw Riley's name, along with a bunch of other kids I recognized from school pickup lines and birthday parties. But one name stood out, Mike. My husband. He was in a chat with these girls. My 14-year-old daughter and her friends. I didn't understand at first. I scrolled back. The messages started months ago. At first, it was normal stuff. Jokes. Memes. But then I saw it shift. He was commenting on their photos. Complimenting their hair. Their clothes. Then came the inside jokes. The winks. The "don't tell your mom" kind of texts. The late night "what are you wearing" messages to Riley. My breath left my body. I remember kneeling down because my legs couldn't hold me. I kept scrolling even though my eyes were burning. It wasn't just 1 or 2 messages. It was dozens. Maybe more. And Riley, she had responded. Nervously, sometimes. But clearly. Flattered. Confused. He'd been grooming her. My husband had been talking to our daughter's best friend like she was some kind of adult. While he sat at our dinner table. While I was folding his laundry. While I was hugging him goodbye in the morning. I took screenshots of every single message. Every comment. Every disgusting emoji. I sent them all to myself. Then I got on my laptop and I sent those screenshots to every parent in that chat. One by one. No explanations. Just proof. Within 2 hours, the phone calls started. The school called. Then the police. Then Riley's mom, who was sobbing so hard I couldn't understand her at first. Then another mom. And another. Word got around fast. He got reported. Pulled from a job site the next day. He didn't come home that night. I didn't care where he went. Kaylee didn't say anything to me for 2 weeks after that. I tried once to go in her room, and she told me to leave. I did. I let her have the space. I made dinner every night, just in case. I didn't touch the tablet again. Then one night, 2 weeks later, I came home late. I'd stopped at the store for milk and bread. I was tired. My head hurt. Kaylee was sitting at the kitchen table. She stood up when I walked in. She walked over and hugged me. She hadn't hugged me in months. Then she whispered, "Thank you for believing me. Even when I didn't believe in you." I broke down right there. I held her so tight I thought we might both shatter. After that hug, things didn't magically get better. The damage was deep. But it was the first time I saw my daughter again, really saw her. Not the quiet, angry shell she'd been the past month. It was like a light came back into her eyes, just a flicker. And I was hanging on to it like a lifeline. She slept in my bed that night. Said she didn't want to be alone. She didn't cry, just curled up next to me and whispered, "Is he going to jail?" I didn't know what to say. I told her, "They're working on it." And they were. The police had interviewed her twice by then, with a child advocate present. I had to sit in the hallway and listen to her describe the way he'd touch her friend's shoulder, how he'd wink across the living room, how Riley started acting weird but wouldn't say why. They were building a case. But it was slow. He hadn't been arrested yet. Just suspended from work, and served with a restraining order. He wasn't allowed near our house or Kaylee's school. That didn't stop people from talking. It started small. Side glances at the grocery store. People whispering in the school parking lot when I went to pick Kaylee up. One mom unfriended me on Facebook. Another stopped inviting Kaylee to birthday parties. And then Riley's dad showed up at my job. He waited until lunch and cornered me in the break room. I barely recognized him. He looked 10 years older than the last time I saw him. Gray in his beard, eyes like broken glass. "You should have stopped it," he said. "You lived with him. You knew something." I shook my head. I didn't. He laughed, but it was hollow. "You let that man into my house. Around my daughter. While he was doing that sh*t. You let it happen." I didn't even try to defend myself. I just stood there while he called me a failure. A fraud. A liar. My manager had to walk him out. That night, I told Kaylee we might need to leave town. "I'm not running," she said. "I didn't do anything wrong." She was right. But I was still scared. People were acting like I had sent those texts. Like I'd looked the other way. Like I brought a predator into their lives on purpose. Then, about a week later, another twist came. I got a call from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer. But something in my gut told me to pick up. It was a girl. Young voice. Nervous. I think your husband was messaging my cousin too, she said. My throat closed up. I asked for her name. She gave it. I knew the family. They lived 2 streets over. Her cousin was 13. 13. More texts. More screenshots. More messages that made me want to throw my phone through the wall. I sent them to the detective working our case. This time, they didn't wait. They arrested him 2 days later. But it wasn't the end. Because then his mother showed up at our house. She pounded on the front door like she was the one who'd been wronged. Kaylee hid in her room. I stepped outside so she wouldn't hear. How dare you do this to your own husband, she spat. Do you know what jail is going to do to him? Do you even care? I just stared at her. She stepped closer, voice rising. He didn't touch anyone. It was just words. You destroyed our family over some texts. I snapped. He groomed children. Including my daughter's best friend. What kind of mother defends that? She slapped me. Right there on my front porch. Then she stormed off, screaming about lawyers and lies and how girls these days make things up for attention. Kaylee saw it happen from the window. She didn't say anything, just came and sat next to me on the couch after I locked the door. She held my hand. That was all. After his mom slapped me, things changed. People who used to stay quiet started showing their real faces. I found out who believed us, and who didn't. The school held a meeting with the district. They sent out a carefully worded statement about ongoing investigations and student safety, but they didn't say his name. They never do in these cases. Too afraid of lawsuits. Too worried about reputations. Meanwhile, Kaylee was sitting in classrooms with kids whispering about her. Teachers avoiding her eyes. Girls staring like she'd done something wrong. But then, one morning, Riley showed up at our door. I hadn't seen her since the night the group chat was exposed. Her mom dropped her off without warning. I opened the door and froze. Riley looked wrecked. Her face was pale. She wasn't wearing makeup like usual. Her voice was flat when she said, "Can I talk to Kaylee?" I hesitated, but called my daughter down. Kaylee stood at the top of the stairs for a second, then slowly came down. They went out back to talk. I watched them through the kitchen window. At first, it looked tense. Riley was crying. Kaylee had her arms crossed. But then something shifted. Kaylee hugged her. Later, she came inside and told me everything. Riley had tried to delete the messages from her phone after I exposed them. Out of shame. She didn't want her mom to know how far things had gone. She said he'd been calling her mature, telling her that Kaylee didn't get him, that she was special. She said he made her swear to keep it secret. She'd felt flattered, until she realized he was also texting another girl from their class. That's when it clicked. That's when she knew it wasn't about her. It wasn't about love. It was a pattern. She came forward to the police that week. Her statement helped solidify the charges. But there was more. So much more. Because during the investigation, detectives seized his work phone. And there, buried in deleted messages and old backup files, they found something else. He hadn't just been messaging kids. He'd been secretly recording conversations in our home. Audio files. Dozens of them. Some were of Kaylee and Riley in the living room. Some were of me on the phone with friends, or venting to my sister. Some were from our bedroom. He had bugged our house. That was the moment the fear turned into something else. Rage. I stopped sleeping. I started checking every room in the house, every night, like clockwork. I couldn't sit still. Every time a floorboard creaked, I jumped. Every time Kaylee went to school, I was terrified someone would yell something at her, or worse. And then, a week later, someone egged our house. 3 dozen eggs. Smashed windows. Cracked paint. The word liar written in red spray paint across the garage door. We called the cops. They took photos. But I could tell they weren't hopeful. Probably some stupid high schooler, one officer said. But Kaylee found out the truth. It wasn't just a random kid. It was his nephew. A senior at Kaylee's school. Someone she used to say hi to at Thanksgiving. She saw a story he posted on Instagram. A video of the egging, with the caption, "Justice for Uncle Mike." I sent it straight to the detective. That's when they moved us to a safe house. Just a rental apartment outside town, while the court process played out. The DA warned me. It could take months. Maybe a year. And even then, there were no guarantees. But I didn't care about guarantees anymore. I just wanted to make sure he never got near another girl again. The apartment wasn't much, 2 small bedrooms, a couch that sagged in the middle, and blinds that barely closed, but it felt safer than our old house. It wasn't poisoned with secrets. Kaylee started sleeping through the night again. I started breathing without panic sitting on my chest. The case finally went to court 8 months later. By that time, 4 other girls had come forward. One of them was 11. Another was Riley's younger cousin. He was hit with 7 charges: solicitation of a minor, unlawful communication, and 1 count of attempted enticement. His lawyer tried to spin it, calling the messages harmless, claiming he never touched anyone. But the jury didn't buy it. Neither did the judge. He got 12 years in prison. Not long enough, if you ask me. But long enough that he won't be near children again for a while. And with his record? He won't be hiding it, either. He'll carry that shame into every room for the rest of his life. The day of sentencing, he tried to speak. He stood up, turned to the room, and started with, "I never meant, I stood up." Loud. "You meant exactly what you did," I said. "You were a guest in these girls' lives, and you treated them like prey. Don't you dare act like this was some accident." The judge told me to sit down. I did. But the courtroom was silent. You could feel it. Nobody believed him anymore. After the sentencing, I went outside and threw up in the bushes. And I wish I could tell you that was the end of it. But it wasn't. Riley's mom stopped speaking to me. She couldn't look me in the eye anymore. She said, "I know it wasn't your fault. But every time I see your face, I see him." I understood. I didn't blame her. Kaylee lost a lot of friends. Their parents didn't say it out loud, but they didn't invite her over anymore. Some even said they wished I'd handled it more privately. Privately. Like what he did was a family dispute. Not a crime. But the worst fallout came from myself. Because if I'm honest, there were signs. I remembered one day, about a year before everything blew up. I caught him staring too long at Riley when she was in a swimsuit. It gave me a sick feeling. I said something, jokingly, nervously, like it was nothing. He brushed it off. I let it go. I let it go. That memory haunts me more than anything else. Because I did see a warning. And I didn't scream about it when I should have. I've had to live with that. I still do. But Kaylee? She's stronger than I ever was. She got back into therapy. She joined a teen writing group. She wrote a short story about a girl who burned down her house to kill the monster inside it. It got published in the school paper. The last line read, "She didn't run from the fire. She walked through it." And on the other side, she found her voice. 1 year later, Kaylee stood up in a school assembly during a speech about internet safety. She didn't use his name. But she told the truth. She said, "Sometimes monsters don't look like monsters. Sometimes they sit at your dinner table." The whole room went silent. Then they clapped. I watched her from the back row. My heart broke and healed all at once. We still live in that small apartment. We're saving to move somewhere new. Maybe a fresh start. But not to forget. Not to run. Kaylee and I made a promise. No more secrets. No more silence. No more letting anyone look the other way.